Wait few minutes. Okay. Some more students have to join.
Yes, sir, I'll wait.
Nice to see you in session conducting. Do your best. And
Thank
we'd
you,
like to
sir.
see your first session. A lot more you'll have to do it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, ma.
Yeah, Ruchika, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's start the session. Before that, okay, today's speaker is Ruchika. Okay, she's in third year gaming student. Okay, she have good knowledge in Blender. Okay, so why Blender? Most of that company, okay, so currently they move for Blender. The reason Blender is a free software. Okay, so instead of Maya, a lot of the companies use Blender. So today you will learn how to work with Blender. Okay, the basic things and everything work with that. Okay, okay, Ruchika, you start the session.
Okay, sir. Uh, sir,
Ruchika,
do I have to switch on my video or anything?
yes, if you have a PPT, you share your PPT.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, can everybody see the PPT?
Yes, yes, you can share.
Okay. So hello everyone. My name is Ruchika, and I'm going to be talking to you, teaching you a little bit about Blender today. So these, one second. Yeah, these are the topics we're going to cover. Blender interface. We'll get familiarize ourselves with the interface. Then we'll start working with some of the objects, edit geometry, and make simple materials using nodes, and finally render a scene. So I'm assuming that most of you are not working with Blender or are fairly new to Blender. So I'll keep the tutorial fairly simple. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about Blender. Blender is a free and open source cross-platforming software. It uses Python scripting, which is why I got into Blender, because I learned Python in my school. So it uses more precise calculations. It has a good AI, and it is highly customizable. So you can customize your own software, which you can do when you're in the advanced stage. And the AI helps doing most of your work automatically, like your skin weights, unwrapping complicated UVs, and sculpting. And then it has an inbuilt and community provided simulation. So most of your simulations like fire, glass breaking, water floods, all that, you can find it in the community tab itself. Blender uses two main engines. One is a cycle engine and the EV engine. Cycle is a ray trace based production engine, which will give you the best possible outcome. And EV is used for real time rendering so that you can work with it. It works while you're making a project so that you can get the rendered look while you're making the project. And it will give you pre-visualized cycles with great accuracy. Then it has live motion tracking. And some of the newly added features in the latest Blender are concept art and storyboard art. So you can make you can combine both the 2D and 3D projects at the same time, because by using grease pencils, layers, I'll show you some pictures for that. And plus now Blender can be used for full-fledged video editing and audio editing. So here are the pictures. Like you can see in the first one, you can use your grease pencil to create 2D images in the 3D viewport. And in the second image, you can see a storyboard of a man in a uh, wa- drawing place. And then below the two images are of the audio editing and video editing modes. Okay, so let's get started with using Blender. Now I'll use the PPT while I'll show you the real Blender. 1 second. And we have a lot to cover, so if anyone has any doubt, just feel free to ask me at any time. Okay, so I assume now the screen has been shifted to Blender. Okay, so when you launch a Blender for the first time, you get a quick setup screen. I don't have it right now because I've been using Blender, so it remembers all the settings that I have put into, but you can find it in preferences. Uh, 1 second. Key map. Yeah. So these are the settings that it will ask you. Wait, can you see it? Um, I don't know. Do I have to change a tab for this? Yeah. Okay. Huh. So these are the settings that will ask you for the first time. So Blender originally uses right clicking for selection. So if you're not comfortable with it, you can change it back to left, but I'll be using the default settings. Then you have the space bar actions. I'll keep it in search right now because we'll be doing modeling mostly. Play, you can change it to play if you're doing animation. And yeah, I've selected tab for pie menu so that just like in Maya, you can get a pie menu for easy shortcuts. Then in case you don't have a 3-button mouse or numpads, which are very, very crucial for Blender modeling, you can emulate them here in the input tab. Okay. 1 second. So, okay. So navigating Blender, middle mouse button. 1 second. I will, yeah. Now you can see what I'm pressing. Okay. So see, middle mouse button is to orbit around an object. Shift and middle mouse to pan around, and scroll the wheel to zoom in and out. Okay. Now we'll get into, now I'll explain you the windows. Here on the right side, you have the properties tab where you can change the properties of the scene, like lighting, rendering, pixels, materials, and all that. And here you have this, above that, you have the scene collection tab where you can place your objects into different collections so that it doesn't become messy. It's an hierarchy. And yeah, that's the main thing. Here, if you press on the object mode, you can find different modes. Like we can go into the editing mode and edit the object. Go to the sculpt mode, sculpt an object. Oh. And here on the top, you can find all the gizmos available in case you're using a laptop. so that, you can change around the views easily. Okay, so yeah, you use your numpads to go around the views. 1 is for the front view, 3 is for the side view, 5 to switch in and out of orthographic mode. Uh, mm, okay, editors and properties. Now we'll go back to the object mode. Yeah, so Blender is easy to use because you can, open different viewports. Here you can see. So basically, if you go to in any corner, you can pull out a different view. And then in each view, you can select a different editor. For example, here, I'll go to shader editor. So now here are the nodes. Don't worry if this looks highly complicated. I'll explain you to work with nodes later. So like that, you can shift around. Here you can work with the front view, while here you're working with the 3D view. You can, create many views. And to join them back, just right click in the middle join area, close it off. Join area and click on the area. Next. Okay, so now let's start working with the objects. Okay, we'll start with the cube. So here are the buttons to move around. Like here you have the move button, rotating button where you can rotate, scale. You can scale in x-axis. If you press in the white one, you can scale the whole object. Alternatively, you can use buttons like G. G will help me move around. And there are many shortcuts, like after pressing G, if I pressed Shift Z, it will only move in the, it will prevent it from moving in the Z direction. And if you only press X, it will move in the X direction, Y, Z, very simple. And to rotate around, you have R. Again, you can press X, it will only move in the X direction. Plus you can, after pressing X, you can even give the values, such as if you write 45, it moves. Here you can see above, it will move 45. And if you press minus, it will move it in the minus 45 direction. Yeah, and to scale, you press S. So the shortcuts are different from Maya, so you have to get used to it. Or you can change everything in the Blender settings. Like if you open Blender for the first time, it will ask you which shortcuts do you want. You can go with the Blender basic settings, which I suggest if you're following tutorials. But let's say you're comfortable with, you can work with Blender now, so you can change into some other industrial software such as Maya, and it will give you the shortcuts of Maya. Okay, next, yeah, the editing mode. So to switch back to editing mode in a much faster way, we can press Tab, and see here we got the Pie menu, and we can go to the editing mode. Okay, so you have the vertices, the edges, and the faces. To select them in the up, you have these radio buttons, vertices, edges, and faces. So now I selected faces, and I can select faces. We can even multiple select them. So I can press Shift and click the edge, and now I can select edge as well as face. Okay, and here on the side, you have all the options to edit it. You have the extrude option, which will be very much useful. You'll use that all the time. So if you press E, see, you can extrude your object in any direction. You can even scale it up, extrude, scale it down. Sorry. Yeah. And I will inset an object. I'll show you why is that useful. Then you have more options like that. Um, so, uh, okay, I'll show you why how do you use some of these tools like inset, bevel, loop cut, and all. So let's say, for example, you are making a glass. So let's switch back to edit mode, object mode. And now we'll add an object. To add an object, we use Shift A, or here you can see add, just add. We'll add a cylinder. Yeah. And when you're adding an object, you have the control to how many vertices and radius you want that object of. So we'll actually, lower the vertices. And I know it will make the cylinder look quite blocky, but we can fix that very easily because Blender is good at creating uh, fake stuff basically. So it will create fake vertices for you, which will give that round image, which I'll show you in just a minute. So you have the cylinder here. Now, okay. So I'll go back to edit mode. Now let's say we were making a glass. So we'll select the bottom one, scale it down, press S, and just scale it down. I'm selecting with my right mouse button, not the left. So if you like scale something and you click right again, it will switch it back to the original position, but you click left and it will remain in the new position. Yeah. So like I said, uh, we need more vertices, or basically we need more geometry in this glass, because once we render it, it wouldn't remain in this same shape. I'll show you why. If you go to your properties tab here and you select modifiers, these are the modifiers, this wrench looking icon. So basically modifier gives us that fake look, which I was talking about. And you go to subdivision surface. So what it will do is it will subdivide your uh, object. So like you can see, the object has completely changed. So why does it do that? I'll explain you with this. I'll explain you with this cube. So what basically happened was, if you have 3 points, like this is your 1 point, this is your second and third, and here you can see there is a sharp edge. When you will subdivide, the software will basically form a curvature in that edge. So in the corner, you will see an edge. So that's why, once again, so that's why like uh, creating all those corners have resulted in such a shape. So how will we fix that is by creating more geometry. So if you press, there's an option called loop cut. So if you press Control R, see, you can put more geometry into the shape. So now what has happened, the distance between that uh, curved vertices have decreased because I've created a new loop cut. So if you do that, you have a better looking, more glass looking structure. And the reason why we added subdividing surface, it still doesn't look as smooth as we want it to. So here you can see two options, render and viewport. So viewport is basically what you see right now and render is the final outcome. So in viewport, we can change and add more subdivisions. And now look, the geometry has become much, much more smoother. So even in the render, we can keep it as 3 because we like 3. And here we'll change it back to 1 because as you'll be making more um, objects in the viewport, your more GPU will be used. And so we like to keep everything more uh, less geometrical as possible. Yeah. And so we can add more modifiers. like now I clicked on add modifier and we can add smooth. So this will smoothen out the surface a little more. We will repeat it a few times. And one more thing that is important is when you add modifiers, it works from top to bottom. So if you see these arrows and let's say I added smooth first. Okay, it didn't do much of a difference. So what happens is that if you add smooth first, it will first smooth out your surface and then subdivide the surface. So it's fine for this simple object, but when you make complicated objects, it's important to know your hierarchy. So you need to go from top to bottom. Okay, so the next tool, okay, if I want to select this entire loop, I can just I can just wait, it's not, okay, the face. I'll switch back to just the edge. And now if I click Alt this, it will select the entire loop. There are many shortcuts in Blender, so you can just download a manual for you in the beginning and it will help you out. Yeah, so now I'll press I to inset. So what this will create is another loop, which you can just, yeah, no. So instead of creating another loop cut, what I did was create an inset, and this gave an even much sharper edge, which we were looking for. And I'll do the same at the bottom. So I'll press Alt, click, I, and there you go. So now this is looking much closer to a glass. But you'll say, where's the hollow part? That's very simple. You'll just whole select the face, extrude it inwards, yeah, and scale it down. And there you go. You have a simple glass. Again, it's looking weird. Okay, so here these radio buttons are to change your shading mode. So if you click this is your wireframe mode, default mode, look dev mode, and rendered mode, which works with the lighting and everything. Oh, my computer has gotten slower because of the render. Yeah, so we'll go to the wireframe mode and scale it a little bit up. And again, press I to inset and inset it. And now if we go back to the default mode, it looks better. You can still see the those zigzag pattern, but it wouldn't be there in the final output. Like if I go back to the object mode, oh, it's still there. I'll create another inset here. See, now it looks better. Now it's nice, round, and okay. Um, so I have covered modifiers, the tools. If you don't remember anything, tell me, I'll repeat it. I know this is a little fast, but can't do anything. Okay, extrude, merging. Okay. So like in case you created extra vertices or anything, you can select two of the vertices. I just clicked right and selected. If you click right, sorry, if you select these vertices using shift, you can individually select them. But if you hold down control and select them, it will like select the entire path. So let's say I selected this one and the adjacent one, and now I can click Alt M and it will ask me where do I want to merge them. So let me say at the center. So it has merged the two vertices at the center. There are many ways to merge, like you can even snap and merge them, but those are complicated stuff. So I'll leave that for now. Um, Yeah, and you can even use the modifiers to create symmetry. And if you're creating large objects, you can work symmetrical with them. Let's say, okay, yeah, adding an image to the plane. One second. Let me find an image. Let's say you were using a reference image to make your model. Where are the images? Okay, I can't find a proper uh, front view and side view, but let's just say you have an image which is the front view, like a front view of a car. You can just, where did it go? You can just drag and drop. So let me go to the front view, because as you drag and drop, it will, like, perpendicularly or parallelly, no, perpendicularly place into the plane. So it's better to go to a view and then drop your object. Why isn't it dropping? Hmm. Okay, I don't know why this is not working. Uh, Maybe the image file format is wrong. Okay, leave that. So yeah, we can basically, I was talking about mirroring the object. So we can select a modifier. Where is mirror? Yeah, mirror, and we can select the plane we want to mirror in. Like we said, Y. Hmm. Oh, okay. I got it. Why it's not working. So if you left click, you have this 3D cursor moving around, right? So this is the cursor. To get it to the center of the plane, wait, let me move this. Yeah. To get the cursor to the center of the plane, you can just click Shift C, I think it was. Yeah. So it has gone to the center, and yeah. Let me, I can't see because of this uh, Zoom ka thing. Okay, so that's how you move it. You can even Shift C, yeah. Solidify, smooth. Okay, one more modifier that's important. Uh, le- i- so if you see, I have not perfectly made this glass. Let me go back to the edit mode. We need to add more geometry to give it more thickness, because if you can see, the the rim of the glass is very, very sharp, and we know that's not true because no objects in the real world are, like, sharp to a point. So everything has a thickness, so we need to give it a thickness. So we'll again select the loop cut, give it a loop cut, but why is it, we'll give it a loop cut here, here. Wait, let me delete it and create a new one very fast. See, it's gone back to 16. Once you have entered a number, it will remember that and give you the same one next time. Yeah. So I'll go back to edit mode, loop. Alt and select this entire thing, inset, and I'll extrude it down and inset again. Yeah, and again with this one, inset completely. Okay, now I'll add the modifier subdivision surface, and yeah, there you have it. But you can see like there's this weird sharpness to it, so we can correct it by now adding a loop cut. So see, now you have the thickness of the rim. I think we need another loop cut here. Yeah, and now we have a smooth cup right here. Okay, yeah. So now let's go to I can't be teaching you sculpting because it has a lot of it has a lot to learn. So I would want you to rather, play by yourself and understand how to sculpt, but I'll just teach you one thing about sculpting. First of all, you would use a tab and a pen. I don't have it connected right now, so we can leave that. But if you try to sculpt, why can't? Oh, this object is selected. Sorry. Yeah. And edit mode. Sculpt. Yeah. So one thing you'll want to do is switch on Dyn topo that is written here. So it will ruin the topology of your structure, but you can't do anything because that is how you sculpt. And you can switch off the symmetry and also suggest you want to add or subtract from the geometry. So if you subtract, you can see it's moving inwards and you can increase the strength. So it will move inwards, and if you add, it will uh, create more geometry. Yeah. So you can play it out by yourself. There are so many different brushes, and yeah, that's it. Now we have covered, okay, working with object is fine. Cutting holes, yeah. So let's say you wanted to make the handle of the cup. So we'll go to the edit mode. Now, a good way of cutting an object is, let me remove this. Why did I create this? It's okay. We can just shift it a bit upwards and create another one here. Okay. So let's say we wanted to cut this plane right here and create a circle for the handle, or anything like you want an object to emerge out of the cup. So what we'll do uh, is uh, we'll basically create a circle out of it. So we'll select these two objects, scale it upwards. So it's more circular. Obviously, it's hexagonal, but after subdivision surface, it will become circular. Nope. Scale to Z axis. Yeah. So it looks a bit more circular. Sorry. And we'll remove the two planes. Remove them, or we can extrude them. So right now, you see, this is how we extrude them. And if we remove it, if you press delete, it will ask you what do you want to delete. So you can click on faces and it will just delete the faces. And see, now you have a perfectly circular cut. if you can't see it, let me give it a, so when you're choosing the shading mode, you can click on this right arrow and give it a matte cap or something. So yeah, see, now you can see the circle. We got a nice circle. So that is a good way to cut an object. And if you extrude it, like I selected these edges and I extrude it because it's going in a different plane. So I should have made it, no problem. We'll just extrude it in the Y direction. I know it doesn't look, it's not perfectly perpendicular, but I should have rotated the object before, but it's okay. If we extrude it, you can also see that it has formed a nice curvature here. But let's say we wanted, we can even create a bevel there. Oh wait, I think that has been created because I extruded it twice. Yeah, see, this is how it will originally look like. And we can use the X-ray mode. We can, see through the object, but that's a bit complicated. Okay, never mind. This is more complicated. We'll use X-ray mode only. Uh, Basically, we'll just create another loop cut here, and we can give it a nice turn to it. Another way of doing this is, oh yeah, I forgot to explain. In case you wanted to add more loop cuts at once, if you press Control R and then scroll, see, you can add many loop cuts. So this is good for bigger objects. And another thing, uh, let's say I made this. Okay, Alt doesn't select it. So I'll manually select all the edges. And what we could have also done is created a bevel. So here is the bevel option, or you can press Control B, I think. Yeah, and create bevels. Again, you can scroll and create more bevels to give more curvature to your object. We don't need it for such small objects, but this is how we do it. Okay, now let's go back to the object mode. I think we have covered the basics of editing an object. What mainly you'll use is extrude, inset, loop cut, and bevel. Yeah, these are the 4 things that you'll use to create your basic geometry. So now let's, what is the time? Yeah, we can do it. So now let's create simple materials on the object. Now let me make 3 object. So Shift A to add an object. Let's add a plane because we need to have a ground. So S and just scale it. Yeah. And I'll select this object, G, Z to move it up. And Shift A again. And now let me add a UV sphere. Sorry. Where is, again, G, and I'll place it here. Now, another shortcut of, making this smooth is if you press W. So if you're in any mode and if you press W, it will give the context menu of that mode. Like if you're in UV mode, doing UV unwrapping and press W, it will give the different options related to the W mode. Sorry, to the mode. Yeah. So now I can select here smooth and see your ball has smoothened out. Let me make another one. So Shift D is to duplicate an object. Okay. And there are 2 ways of duplicating objects. One is Shift D, which will create a, a, a complete separate object, similar looking to the first one. but both of them will have different properties. Now, let's say you were working on a large scene and you needed multiple particles, like you were creating rocks and now you were creating it them in a large scale. So what you will do is use, I think it was Alt D. Yeah, if you press Alt D, whatever changes you make to either of those objects will reflect on the other object as well. So this is helpful if you're creating a lot of uh, particles and stuff. So now we have created 3 objects. Now we'll go to the, once again, we'll go to the shading mode. So either you can, go here to the shading mode, or you can split the screen and from here go to the shader editor and edit here. But because they have given us a workspace to do that, let's use this. So this is your shader mode. Now, if you notice here, by default, we have entered the look dev mode. This is the rendered mode where you have the proper lighting, shadow, and everything. And this is the look dev mode. Now, look dev mode is what the EV engine uses. So that is because it tries to create a fake render out of it. Obviously, as you can see, there are no shadows or anything. That's because it's trying to give you a simple rendered look. So you can, work fast with your objects, see them in the render mode, and you don't have to go to the actual render mode, which will slow down your computer when creating a lot of objects. So this is your look dev mode, and you can see they have given us a HDRI with it. So if you go to the render mode, again, you have to set up a complete world, HDRI, everything. But in the look dev mode, we have been given that. So um, now let's give our objects a material. Now I'll select this object, the mug, and now I'll click new. So these are your nodes. So nodes are these big objects that connect each other, and will uh, we can make the material of the object. So will the output of the object will always be material output. I don't think you'll use anything else, but the input can vary. So right now we are using the most basic node, which is the principal BSDF, where we can change the color of the node. So if you click red, see, it's a red object. If you increase the metallic, it will become more metallic. And if you decrease the roughness, it will become more glossy, shiny. Let me do it on a plane so that you can see it with the HDRI in effect. So again, I clicked the add new material and it created new material. Now, let's remove this one. To add a new material, again, it's the same thing, Shift A, and you add a new material. See, you can insert an input, output, shader, textures, and various other things, your normals, reflectors, all that. So we'll go to a shader. And now let's input the glossy shader. Shader, basically these shaders are the same thing that we have picked out from the principal BSDF, but let's say we didn't want to use the entire BSDF, then we'll use this one. So all this does, all the glossy BSDF does is it has metallic up to 1, and then you can control the roughness. So if I connect it, by default, it's a metallic object. I can change the color. Let's give it a blue color, and I can control the roughness. So see, now that it has become glossy, you can see the environment around it. You can even change that by going again to the matte cap, and see, you can select any world that you want. So let's stick with this one because we can see the trees around. So Yeah, this is the glossy one. So you can, experiment around, add different shaders and see how they will work. Now let's say I gave this object an emission texture. Emission texture, as you can understand by the name, emitting light. So it will emit a light. I will increase the strength. So it's emitting a light. Obviously, you can't see the light reflecting here because the EV engine does not do that complicated rendering. If you go to the actual rendered mode, this is again, the rendered mode is again in the EV engine. That's why it's not working how we want. So the way we'll change it is in the properties menu. If you go to the scene tab, this one here, as you can see, you can select the engine that you want. So now I'll go to the cycles engine, which I said will give the best result possible. So if I switch to cycles engine, there you go. Now you can see this is emitting the light on the plane and then as well as on the balls, which is again emitting light back, what we call as light bouncing. So we can control our light bounces because generally the light bounces are set to very high and that will slow down your engine. So I'll cover that all that in the next session. That is a next part, that is a rendering of a scene. So this is the main difference between the EV engine and the cycles engine. So obviously for your final result, you want it set in the cycles engine, but for now we'll use the EV because now it's moving way smoother. Okay, so now let's say I wanted to uh, turn this object into a gold object. So I can create a new material or I can select an existing material like this blue one, which we created for the plane by clicking here. Now, let's say I did select this material and I do want its properties. Let's say we have a lot of nodes and I want all the properties except for one. I want to change one. Now, if I change here, you can see even the ground has changed because both of them are sharing the same material. So what I'll do instead is create a copy. So here, if you click this, you can create a copy. Now, as you can see, the numbering has changed, material 3, and let's name it as gold. We want this to be gold. Now we can just select our color and there you go. Now instead of that blue metallic glossy surface, we have a golden surface. Yeah, so these are the simple ways to create, add materials for this. Now, let's say uh, m- you have started making models and you want to add an already available texture. So what will you do? We'll delete this glossy one, connect it back to BSDF. So if you can see in the nodes, there is the input and the output. Yeah, so all the outputs which will eventually lead up to the material output. But before that, uh, because we already have an image selected to place here on the material, on the object, we just have to place it in the colors node. So what we'll do is Shift A, we'll go texture. We can add different textures. You can test around with it. But now I'm just going to show you image texture so that, in case you don't want to create your own material, you can just search it in any site, get free materials and place them. So I will connect it here. But as you can see, there is no image selected. So what we can do is, let me keep this aside. I'll go to a texture that I already have. Hopefully this time the drag and drop will work. So, okay, I have a bricks texture. So when you'll download a texture file, this is how it will look like. So there is the color image, then there are these are the bumps, and this is the normal. So we can input all of them and connect them to each other. Now I'll just drag and drop the image, one of the red brick stones that you saw there. And now if I connect it to the base color, see, you have the texture right here. Obviously it looks a fake. It doesn't have all the bumps and everything. So I can input all of that. Let me place this here. Now what we'll do is the blue one that you saw, which is the normal map, if I insert it here, and now you will wonder like, where do we connect this to? Because we can't connect it here or here. These are the only yellow ones. We can even connect it to gray, but none of them really apply. And there is a normal option here, but yellow and blue dots don't really connect. So that is because we need to add a new node called a normal node. We have to convert it to normal image. So what we'll go to the vector option and select the normal map. And there you go. Now you can see the colors match up. So I can connect yellow to yellow and purple to purple. And now the normals will apply. I can increase the strength of it, and you can see the bumps are much more visible. So like that, you can connect all the different things you have. Like if sometimes they even give brushes like the fingerprint brush. So if you want to make highly realistic objects and you need fingerprints on the smooth surfaces, you can, place those brushes and connect them and you'll have fingerprints at everywhere. Okay, so this is how you add your uh, basic materials. Um, okay, now let me teach you very simple UV unwrapping. I'll just explain to you what is UV unwrapping. So let's go back to the layout. Okay, now I'll add another object, a cube. Where is it? There. G. Okay, you have a cube here. Now, UV unwrapping in simple sense is basically um, to apply a texture, because your texture files are 2D files. You need to convert this 3D object into a 2D object. So basically, if you cut up this box and open it up completely in such a way that all the surfaces are now lying flat plane, you can apply the texture on it, basically, slap onto it. And when you fold back the cube, you have the texture on it. So uh, this time, instead of going to the UV editor, let me change this viewport into UV editor. So here you have a UV editor. Now you can see you can't really see the object here. So that's because we have to go to the edit mode. And now see, when the entire cube is selected, if we cut open the cube, this is um, the shape we get. And if we place an image here, a texture, this is exactly how each faces will get the texture. Now, let's say you wanted to UV unwrap this object, this one. So all you'll do, go to the edit mode. Oh, how did this triangulate? I think because of the sculpting. That's okay. No, let me create a new object, because you should avoid triangles when it comes to UV unwrapping, because triangles are harder to open if you know. So let me create a new object, Shift A, and let me add another cube. Now I'll select this, place it right here. So as you can see, whenever I'm adding an object, it is spawning to the 3D cursor. So wherever the 3D cursor is, that is where your object will appear. And in case you get lost in your world, like you're somewhere here and you're like, oh, where did all my things go? And you can't really see it. You can go back to it with, what was the shortcut once again? Yeah. Oh, home button. Basically, you can press the home button and you'll be back. See, I press home and I'm back to the my working space. Now, let's say I made a different object. I'll select this face, extrude it, scale it. This one, extrude it, scale it. Now, and also let me add modifier again so that you remember how to do that. So this is the modifier. If I increase the subdivision, obviously you can see it has changed its shape. So what we need to do, we need to add a loop cut. So what we'll do, Control R, or from here we can select the loop cut and yeah, we'll use double. We'll Control R. And you've seen that it's lost its square shape. So I think we can insert this. So I'll select Alt. Wait, it's not selecting the entire. Yeah, so we selected this plane and now I can press I. Okay, this doesn't work. Instead, we can just add loop cuts this way. Now you can see it's going back to its square shape. So you can do that to every edge and you'll get a much sharper edge. Control R, Control R. Yeah. And if you needed this to be less curved, again, you can add more geometry and make it more sharper. Yeah. So let's imagine this was the object that we wanted to unwrap. So if you select the entire object, oh, so if you, why isn't it working? Okay, so one way of selecting the entire object is pressing A. And another way, let's say you created two geometry. Let's say this circle and this circle, both of these spheres were in the exact same position and they are the exact same size. So what will happen is you will get two geometries colliding each other, and that is really really confusing for a software to render because it will not understand which surface should it project. So another way, if two of your objects are colliding, then what you can do is click L. So what will it do? The vertex that you have selected, it will select all the vertices linked to it. So if I press L, it has selected this particular entire object. And we used A. A basically means select all. So in case you have many objects and you're in the object mode, I'm in the object mode and sorry. If I press A, it will select all the objects. So that is what we'll avoid. We'll just use L and you can see, but now you have noticed that this unwrapping is used for a normal cube. We have seen that before. So you know that it's wrong. This is not the way it should have unwrapped. So we'll do our own unwrapping. Now what we'll do, so you know that like what to unwrap an object, we have to basically cut it, right? So I'll go to the edge and I'll start cutting the edges of this object. So how we'll do that is I will select this entire surface. Matlab, wait, I think I missed one. This one. And I will, was it U? No, U is to unwrap. Okay, huh. If you click U, here you have mark seam. So seam is what the software will cut through. Like if you know fashion designing, this is what you call seams. So this is a seam that we have created. Wait, I've missed one here. Again, U, mark seam. And now what will happen is when I try to unwrap it, uh, it will cut through this and open, but obviously that it's still a 3D object, so we have to cut more. So we'll select this edge as well. Yeah, U, mark seam. And also let us select this one, U, and mark seam. Now, okay, let me stop here and now unwrap it. U, unwrap. Okay, but you have seen it, it's not projected here. That's because you have to select this entire object, because whatever I will select, whatever I'll try to select, see, whenever I'm dragging, the vertices are dragging, so you can press B and box select it. Oh, sorry. Let me just try to, B, and I'll select this much. So you can see only the partial part is shown. So what we have to press is L. And now we can see it's still not open. So we know that we have to cut more seams through it. So again, I will start cutting the seams. I can just shift, click all the edges I want, U, and mark seam. Now it has marked the seam both up and down this way. Where else do we need it? Here. So this flap will open, this one will open. Yeah, I guess this should work. So now I'll press L, U, unwrap, and see. This is how our object should have been unwrapped the first time. So you can see still there are some curves and all. That is because of the curve we have created it. But you can, proportion it correctly, but we'll not get into that. So this is how you basically unwrap an object. And now let's say, wait, now let's say I wanted to add a texture. I will click on image, new. So I could create a general UV grid. So I'll just click a UV grid. Okay. And see, we got a UV grid, but now you can see it's not projected here. That is because we haven't really given anything to be seen on an object has to be given a material. So what we'll go do is first go to the look dev mode. Another shortcut of doing that is pressing Z. If you press Z, you can see we have the different shading modes and we can go to the look dev mode. But you can see the checkered option is not being shown. So that is because we'll go to the material. So another way of adding materials is through this property panel. We can go to the material, assign it a new material. Yeah. So by default, it is assigned a principal BSDF. And again, we don't want a color, but we want this checkered board. So in the base color, we'll select this small circle that we can see and give it a image texture. So here is the image texture, and instead of image, we can select the, I think untitled was the checkered one. Yeah. So this is how it is. So whatever each plane, how much ever uh, boxes it's covering, it will cover it here as well. So, and let's say if I wanted to add another image that I have, um, my, where is it? Mm, Okay, yeah, I have this picture. Now I wanted this to project here. I will just go to this image again and select the one which I want. And you can see it has wrapped the entire material to the object. Okay, so this is all we'll do now for material. Everything else is a little bit complicated. Okay, now we'll get into the rendering part. So let me close this tab. We'll join the area and see, we can select which one we want to collapse, and we'll collapse this one. And I'll go back to the object mode. This is the object mode. So yeah, so now let's get to the rendering part. Basically all the rendering is done through this property material. You have the basic properties like this one, which will this is the object property. Then this is the scene, which I've showed you before. I will get back to that. This one is the output. When you want to, capture this image or make a video out of your animation, you'll select your output here. Then this is the layers. Layers we basically use for 2D design, so that's why I've not covered that part. Uh, More scenes. This is basically where you can, set your gravity, put your audio if you have an audio. This is your world where you can, change the world settings. For example, let's say I want it to be a bright world. You can't see it here, but if I go to the rendered, yeah, see, now I can even change the world color. So if you were in a room with a lit area, you can, and you didn't want to place lights, you can just change the world color. And other settings here, you can increase the strength for lightning and everything. Then uh, these are the modifiers. These are particle system. That is also something which I'll not cover now. Physics, constraints for animation rigging. This one is for UV, leave that. Materials, I've shown you that. And brushes. Brushes, like I said, the fingerprints or uh, grass, like you wanted to brush over a grass, you can do that here. So let's cover the rendering part. So this is your scene. You can select which um, engine you want to, want for your final uh, render. Obviously cycles, like I've said before. Here you can change it to your GPU because that will be faster. In case you it's not showing up, go to the preferences, and yeah, you in the CUDA you can see if your GPU is there or not. So I have two of, so you can select one. Okay, so if you notice closely, when I'm zooming in here, the light that is emitting from this object, it's like it's not perfectly smooth. You can see there are dots everywhere. Those are called fireflies or noise. Like we like to use fancy terms, so we'll call it fireflies. So to solve that issue, what we'll do is that basically that is being generated because there is not enough um uh like not enough pixels to generate that light. So what we'll do is, if you come here to the sampling section, you can increase the uh pixels that you want. So I'll give it like 1,000. But now what will happen if I try to rotate it? As you can see here, it's written path tracing sample. It's taking a lot of time for it, for all the samples to generate. So what we'll do is, for the final render, we can add in how much ever value we want. As you know, rendering takes time, but for the viewport, we like to keep it simple. So I'm fine for 32 now. See, but look at this. Look at the final output. Now it's much smoother. The fireflies have gone away. But now that I've turned it back to 32, it will again be very noisy. Next, uh, what is in the advanced. Okay, we don't need to see that. Next is the light paths. Like I've talked before, uh, light bounces around a lot, and by default, here the max number of bounces is 12. So obviously we don't need it that much. Even for ambient occlusion and everything, I think 4 is enough. So you can just keep it to 4. You wouldn't notice any change. Sorry, you wouldn't notice any change, but your rendering will be much faster. So you can decrease that. And here in the transparency and transmission, we haven't really used that many materials, especially stuff like glass and all, which are transparent and stuff. So we can turn it off, or let's just keep it to a lower number now. So because we haven't really used a transparent object, so we can emit that. And again, for clamping also affects the fireflies a lot. So we don't really need all this. We'll just turn it back to 0. As you're working with, more materials and creating more realistic stuff, then you would need these properties. But for now, we can just turn all these off. Reflective is fine. Refractive, we can remove. And this will make your final render much smoother. Here, we haven't really used a hair texture, so we can remove that. Uh, these all are fine. You can change it according to your needs. Okay, so in the performance part, uh, if you see here tiles, these tiles are not the rendering pixels. These are basically when you render the final output, your entire scene will be divided into a grid and each tile will render at one time. So uh, for if you're using a GPU, keeping the tile size bigger is better. So because it can at once render one tile very fast. But if you're using your CPU, if you don't have a GPU, you can increase the tile size as it can cover small tiles and render them faster. If you do the opposite for both of them, it's going to take you many hours of rendering. So I can because I'm using a GPU, I can, make the tile size 128. So now 128 out of 128, one tile will render at once. Yeah, so that's the main thing here. And baking, we leave that for now. Okay, next, if you go to your output, here you can set the dimensions of your output. If you're animating the scene, like there's a video. Oh, let me put the look there mode. Yeah, so if you have moved this here, move the objects around and you're animating them, then you can, set the frames for animating. Stereoscopy, let's leave that for now. Output, you have various output options, file formats. See, like you have everything for your images, and for movies, if you select FFmpeg, even though it's you can go down here to the encoding, and you can get more options here, like MPG4, H264, which is good for if you want to, put your video to YouTube or something. And you can so you can set the encoding format. And let me switch it back to image, let's say PNG. Okay, override is basically if you select override, every time you render the scene, it will um, override the previous file. Placeholders, uh, basically what it will do is, let's say you're animating a video. So you're rendering a video. So the best way to render a video is actually create a sequence of images rather than creating rendering the whole video at once. Why is that? Because in case your software crashes, the entire video file will become corrupt. So what we can do, but in case you are making a video, you can select the placeholder. So what it will do is, before, even though the file will get corrupt, you can still know the file exists, but because it has a placeholder to it. If you don't have the placeholder on, let's say your entire video did not render, it won't even exist in your Windows Explorer. Next, file extensions. To put file extensions, that's easy. Cache results, if in case you want those information. Then you have the colors, black and white, RGB, RGBA, color depth, all that you can change according to your needs. And I think that is all is important done for rendering. Yeah, and when you have selected everything and now you want the final result, here I can write my file name. Like I created this file name, and then I can go to the render tab here and either render an image or an animation. So once again, let me just
Hello. Hello.
Ruchika?
Ruchika, we are unable to hear your voice. She's disconnected. Yes.
Sir, can you pause the recording so that let us come back?
okay. So I think I was covering the rendering the scenes. So there's nothing much complicated to it. You can just test around, and then to render your final image or animation, you can click the render tab. And let's say I wanted to render this image. One thing before you want to render is you need to check your camera placing. So a shortcut for camera is again numpad 0. So as you can see, I entered the camera mode, or you can just click this gizmo camera. So now if I go to the camera mode and I move around, you can see the camera also is moving around. So it's not really placed in one place. So we'll open this bar. I don't know what it's called, N, and uh, view. Yeah, in view, lock camera to view. We will lock the camera. And now, however we move around, the camera will also move with our view. So let's say I just wanted to render this part. Yeah, so this is now what the final rendering will look like. And if I press render image, so like as I was talking about the tile size, this is how each tile is being rendered. I think I still gave a lot of sampling for the tiles. I could have reduced it, but it's fine. The better the quality. Yeah. So yeah, that's how the entire render scene will render out. So we're almost at the end. So let me just show you maybe, one more material. Like as I was talking about EV engine and the cycles engine, let's say this object, I wanted it to be a glass. So if I no, actually, you know what? Let this one be the emission. See, now you can see both the spheres have now emitting light because I duplicated this object by using the same properties as the previous object. So anyone you change will change the identical one, and this one will make a glass object. So what we'll do, Shift A and shader and glass BSDF, and all you have to do is connect the node. Now, oh, sorry, I have to create a duplicate material, and now I can change this. And now you can see it's it does look a bit like glass, but you will say that glass is refractive, so where we should be able to see through it. Like I said, Eevee is not perfect, still perfect because it's still new to the game. So what we'll do is actually go to the cycles engine, and now you can see it looks perfectly like a glass. And again, you will get a lot of noise because of emission and glass. These two are the most these two are the ones which use the most graphics. Yeah, so you have your glass texture. So like this, you can start creating models, give them materials, and create your scenes. And I will suggest also trying out sculpting. It's really, really fun in Blender. Okay, one last thing. I don't know why that reference image one was not working. Let me try it out again. Okay, now it works. Yeah. So see, I'll just drag and drop the image. Oops. 1 second. So let me delete this. Let's go to the front face. B, I will select this all, delete it. Okay. Now this is the front face. Uh, from my files, I will just directly drop an image. So uh, let's say I don't have the perfect front, but let's say this is our front view. So we'll move it here. Yeah. Let's say this was the front view of the reference image. Let's say this was a drawing. And now we'll press 3 and go to the side view. We can align it perfectly. Yeah. 1 second. Yeah, we can align it perfectly. And now we had another image of the side view again. Oh, yeah. And now we can again scale it up, move it across. Now I can match the green line with the green line. And this one is unfortunately not a. And now if I go back to my perspective view, you can see it's still there. And what we can also do, so you can, scale up the image, perfectly align them. Wait, sorry, S. I will scale it up. Yeah, you can go ahead and align your two drawings like this. And what we can also do is actually add these two images to a different scene. And why, I'll tell you. Let's right click here, new scene. And if let's just name it BG. This is the background. So both both the images, I can just place it here. So now you can just, click this eye and hide them when you're done with your modeling and you don't need the images again. So let's say you had many objects, it will be harder to find them. And we can also remove the cell. No, how do you do that? Okay, no. So yeah, you can hide them whenever you don't want to use them. So this way you can start getting into your modeling. So let's say, let me go back to the perspective mode. Let's say I was making this character. I will press Shift A, maybe start with plane. We'll start with a plane maybe. And where is the plane? It's right there. So we can get it here. Uh, so what we'll also want to do is work in a symmetrical way so that we can just create one side and the other side will be automatically created. So what we'll do is, just a second, I will rotate it along X. Yeah. And now if I go to the side view, this is how the plane is. Wait, I will rotate it more. I will scale it down. I missed this during the working with objects because I don't know why the image was not working that time. But this is a crucial part of modeling, especially when you're a beginner and you want to use references to make your models. Yeah, so let's say this was your plane. And uh, now we want to create a mirror of it. Before that, what I'll also do is scale it this way. Yeah. And for a second, I will just hide these backgrounds. So the way you mirror objects is, like I said before, you can just go to the modifier tab, add a modifier, and go to mirror. And again, it's not mirroring. Okay, once again. Let me delete this. Let me first get the cursor back to the origin. So the way we did that was Shift C. Yeah. So the cursor is back to the origin, and we will make the pivot point as the 3D cursor. So now what it will do is create so the 3D cursor is the plane through which it will mirror in whichever direction, X, Y, or Z. So now if I add the modifier mirror and, oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot one thing. First, we'll duplicate an object. So I will Shift D and I will right click. So it, like I said, if you right click, it will go back to its original position and dimensions. So this is, so there are two objects here. So see, there are two objects here and now you will mirror it. Why is that not mirroring? Okay, it's okay. I don't know why it's not mirroring. So if you can watch a tutorial and do it, that's fine. Or you can create maybe the half of the structure, just duplicate it, duplicate the entire